in December of '66, there was an event on the street called Death and Rebirth in the Haight-Ashbury. And this was, I mean, the Diggers were only like 4 or 5 months old at this point. And the Hells Angels had sort of become part of the community. I think it was through Ken Kesey had sort of befriended them, and so they were around the Haight-Ashbury. And the history of this event really is around making Haight Street open and accessible to kind of on the street events where traffic would be blocked off and people would do things. And we had finally gotten to the point where we could have a street event. So here it was, the Death and Rebirth in the Haight. And in the middle of this event, my friend Phyllis, who I think was probably a teenager at the time, was photographed standing on the back of a motorcycle that was driving down the street, driven by a Hells Angel. And she was in a white dress with scarves flowing out the back. I mean, a nightmare for any policeman, because of course this is like a total, hazards all over the place. But it was beautiful too. It was just a spectacular vision of this young woman in a white dress standing on the back of a Hells Angels motorcycle going down the street. So of course what happened, the police saw that and they arrested Chocolate George. Now Chocolate, that was the guy's name, Chocolate George got busted. So we were all, I don't know, doing whatever we were doing in the middle of the street, walking around, playing music, people were selling candles and things like that. But the news got around that Chocolate George had gotten arrested. So it seemed like what the police had done was they'd gone and busted the most criminal and nefarious looking guy on the street, and because they had to arrest somebody. And so we got kind of ticked off about that. And I remember, this was my leadership moment here. I was so seized with the moment that I climbed up onto the roof of the car and I said, I just heard that Chocolate George was arrested and taken up to Park Street Station. What do you think about that? And he went, that's terrible, that's terrible. I said, well, let's go get him out. And I jumped down off the car and I started walking up Haight Street towards Stanyon, which is where the Park Street Station was. And everybody followed me. So there we were, like hundreds and hundreds of hippies walking up the street to the police station. And so we walk and walk, and you have to go through a little corner of the park, and then there's the station, which is nestled in to the corner of the football stadium there. And so if you gather a crowd in front of the station, the police are essentially cornered in there. And so people just kept showing up and showing up and showing up, and in the back of my mind I was going, oh shit, what have I done? Like, I have precipitated what could be a hideous, violent confrontation. And indeed, you could see the police station had little windows, and there were police looking up through the windows and going, oh fuck, they're here. And so everybody gathered and kind of formed a little C-shaped enclosure around the parking lot. And I remember someone turning to me and saying, okay, what do we do now? And I thought, I have no idea.